Hi guys, I'm Marie Carmen.
Hi Vic. Hello everyone. So before we get started this week, we just wanted to say a massive thank you for listening and thanks for all your great feedback. We are possibly looking at doing another bonus episode soon, so if you can, please email us your ideas to ts12pod@gmail.com on what you would like us to talk about on this special bonus episode.
And this week we are talking about, do couples that train together stay together? And we're also going to take a look at emotional intelligence. But before we do that, what have you been up to this week, Marie Carmen?
So I had a lovely walk, social distancing walk with my niece and my mum, which was really lovely. My brother gave my son Jesse, the 7-year-old, his old chopper that's like 18 years old.
Oh, cool.
So he took that and he didn't like it. So then my mum ended up riding it around Salford. And everyone knows my mum don't know. So they were like, "Hey Jack, I like your chopper."
I saw a picture of your mum riding what looked like a chopper bike. I thought it must just be hers.
She was loving it. And the funny thing is that my sister and her husband and my niece all live in my granddad's house where my mum grew up. Like, they ended up buying that house off my mum. So we were actually set off from my sister's house. And my mum was on a chopper setting off from it. It was like the most nostalgic thing for my mum. And people were like, "Didn't your Richard have a brother? Didn't your Richard have a chopper?" And she was like, yeah. Just like, I was like, "Mum, if this was a couple of weeks ago before when lockdown first happened and there was hardly any cars on the road, it would have just been like when you were younger." So yeah, it was lovely. Kids, Jesse's back at school this week, so he's home, not proper school, he's still off school. So we've been doing some homeschooling, and I was going to say I've been back at work this week, but obviously I can work only outside, and then the heavens opened and I haven't been able to work. So I was supposed to be back at work, but I haven't been back at work because no one wants to run around and do exercise
it's cold
in the rain.
And wet.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's just such a shock because we've had such nice weather, isn't it? So yeah, it's been a lovely week. We always meet up with a neighbour over the road on a Saturday and we social distance on opposite sides and we play games and stuff. So we do that every week, which is nice, and the kids get a bit of social interaction. Cute. So that's cute. Yeah, I spend half my time like shouting at them and like making them have fun rather than them actually like willing to have fun. Anyway, yeah, what have you been up to, Vic?
Well, nothing as exciting as you, really. A bit of a quiet week, just working, prepping, wondering kind of when, we're going to be able to open. But like I say, we're hoping for the beginning of July because we, like you, come under the guidelines of the third phase. But apparently, like the government task force haven't given any specific guidance just yet to kind of our department, I guess, of gyms and physical exercise. But thinking about kind of the date, I'm wondering if, surely in another week or so they should be announcing some more measures or bringing out more information at least. Yeah,
they're going to have to give rules and regulations for so many different jobs and so many different situations, because my mother and father-in-law, they're in a similar business to me, which I'll talk about later. And they were saying that I've got to leave an hour between clients. Now, keeping in mind that I've got the kids and I work around the kids, I always try and piggyback clients. So
see, there's nothing that I've read that says you need to take an hour. It just says that you need
clean in between.
Yeah, just enough time to clean in between.
Well, obviously I'd stagger my clients now, which I never really did before. But I've changed the gym, so it's going to be cleaner, and I've taken extra precautions now, and I will obviously clean in between. So I'm hoping that hour thing doesn't mean that, because then my hours of what I can actually work will be dramatically cut down because of the kids. Bit of a tricky one.
I know.
Anyway, sorry, yes. What else have you been doing?
Other than that, so still got my HelloFresh meals. Have you still got your HelloFresh meals?
Yeah, I've got one left.
Lovely.
And I haven't cooked it yet because it was like 900 calories. And I was like, I'm saving that for the weekend.
So just been getting really loads of ideas for, like I say, I chose the vegetarian one, even though I'm not strictly vegetarian. But so many nice meals and ideas and filling foods. I think when you try and eat vegetarian food, you can get a bit caught in the same thing. Like, I love halloumi.
Yeah.
And roasted vegetables vegetables.
That's the meal though that I've got left of halloumi.
Is it? Oh, I love halloumi. Absolutely love it. And our rhubarb in the garden, which it's probably been there, like the rhubarb patch has probably been there for like 50 years or something. I think the man who lived in the house before us had it, and it just needs no maintenance whatsoever, and it just produces so much rhubarb.
Does it?
Yes, I picked loads of it the other day and just roasted it in the oven, and I've just been having that. It's absolutely delicious.
My granddad used to have a rhubarb patch in my sister's, like where my sister lives now.
Yeah.
And we used to just literally just dip it in sugar. Just get a cone of sugar and just dip it in sugar.
Raw?
That was lovely. I think so, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. He obviously couldn't be bothered to cook it for us.
But anyway,
I'm pretty sure it was. I'll have to check on that one with my mum.
I think people do eat it raw. I mean, it's tangy anyway, isn't it? Whether it's raw or whether you've stewed it. But yeah, it's delicious. And I would have made a crumble, but we didn't have any ingredients for anything else. So I just cooked it and just had it in a bowl with... that was it by itself.
Yeah, and it's really nice on yoghurt as well, isn't it?
Delicious. Yeah,
when
Greek
I went
yogurt.
to Iceland, they were really into like... the skier yogurt or whatever it's called,
It's nice,
and they just had like stewed prunes, stewed rhubarb, and it was lovely. Really, like,
Yeah, I had loads of that when I was in Iceland as well.
Oh,
anyway,
nice.
that's me. Yep.
So, should we go on to the main feature?
Yeah.
Okay, so in these unprecedented times, which is the word of the
unprecedented or strange times.
Yes,
one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. Me and Dean have spent so much time together. Like, he works 4 on 4 off, and we spend a lot of time together. We're like passing ships normally because I'm working, but now I'm not. I'm in the house all the time and he's there all the time. Anyway, so I've taken to the internet quite a lot to try and understand where I might be going wrong at certain times. So I started off, and I actually sent you a link to it, didn't I? And it was quite a deep kind of psychological, how to read your relationship, quite deep. And then when I was talking to some girls about it, they were like, oh, have you heard of the 5 Languages of Love? And this is a book by Gary Chapman, and it's all about how you love and how you receive love. So I started looking into it, and it kind of clarified how I give love, how I receive love. It's hard to say it without it sounding weird. And it kind of made me understand things a bit better, and maybe helped us get on a bit better on times when we're not getting on because we're just doing each other's head in, because we're so close to each other right now and we can't get away from each other.
There's no escape.
So there are 5 languages of love, this guy reckons. So I'm just going to read some out. So I'm going to read out the 2 that are actually me and Dean. We did the test, so we sat down, we did the test. I at first started like asking him the questions to tick the boxes for him. And then I was like, no, actually you need to do this, because like I'm scared that you're going to say something just to be nice to me. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the 5 languages of love. So the first 2 is quality time, which is what Dean actually, the way that he gives love and the way that he receives love, which really shocked me actually, because Dean's really happy with his own company. So I think sometimes I'd do his head in spending more time with him. So I'm quite surprised. So that's basically uninterrupted and focused conversations, and one-on-one time is critical. So the actions to take is to create special moments together, take walks, do small things with each other, which to be honest, he's happy just going for a walk on the beach, Dean. And things to avoid distractions when spending time together, which I don't get because we do spend a lot of time on our phones, and that's probably one thing that we argue about. And long stints without one-to-one time. He's happy being on his own, so I don't really understand how any of that is Dean, but supposedly it is. And then mine is acts of service, which is totally me, I think. So I use action phrases like I'll help, and so I like to help, and I like to do things, and I like people to do things for me, not necessarily go out of the way to give me gifts or anything like that, but just kind of help me out a bit. And that is honestly, like, if Dean picks up a Hoover, I would love him forever. So that is totally me. And yeah, I think just acknowledging the fact that I do all those things as well, and he needs to tell me that sometimes. So that is mine and Dean's language of love language.
That's good.
What are the other two, Vic? I think it's you and Kate. They're not you and Kate.
No. So
not.
you told me about the test, and I kept thinking I'm gonna have to get the link for the test off you to do it, and then I just completely forgot about doing it. So the other the two that I'm gonna read out are basically the other two that Marie, Carmen, and Dean aren't.
But you're not either. I don't think you are that.
I don't know. All right, I'll maybe as I'm reading
Yeah.
through them, I'll try and say, oh, I do that, or not.
Yeah.
Also, we should say that we'll put the link for this book in the show notes if anyone else is interested
Yes.
in it. Okay, so reading the other two out, and maybe you could think about this yourself to see if you might recognise it in yourself or in your partner. So let's have a look. The other one I'm going to read out is physical touch. So how to communicate, it will be non-verbal, using body language and touch to emphasise love. I'm not really, especially in public, a touchy-feely person, so that wouldn't really be me. Kate's quite touchy-feely, and I'm not, so that's quite funny. So actions to take for somebody whose language of love is physical touch would be to hug, kiss, hold hands, show physical affection regularly, make intimacy a thoughtful priority. And things to avoid would be physical neglect, long stints without intimacy, and receiving affection coldly. So I need to remember that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he's not that one then. Vic. Hopefully that's not his language of love.
And what would the other one be? The other one would be receiving gifts. So is this how you communicate? Oh no, sorry, how to communicate if your love language is receiving gifts would be thoughtfulness. So make your spouse a priority and speak purposefully. Actions to take would be give thoughtful gifts and gestures. Small things matter in a big way. Express gratitude when receiving a gift. Things to avoid would be forgetting special occasions or being unenthusiastic when receiving gifts.
See, I thought Dean would have been that, but not necessarily receiving gifts off me. But I'm not saying that he's not allowed to spend his own money, because he is allowed to spend his own money. But obviously, as a family, we decide what we're going to spend our money on together, and we don't really go out and buy stuff without talking about it. I think he would come under that, because he would be like, well, if I can buy what I want, I'm happy. Because he likes to buy surfboards and stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting. And this kind of leads into how if couples that train together stay together. So Dean's got very separate interests to me. He's a total adrenaline junkie. I'm scared of everything. I like sets and reps. I like to know where I'm at. I like order. I don't like surprises. And he's the total opposite. He loves snowboarding, surfing, mountain biking.
Before we move on though, have we missed one? Because did you read 2 and I've read 2?
Oh, there's 5. Totally organised. Quality time.
No, it's words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation, yeah. So words of affirmations are to encourage, affirm, appreciate, empathise, listen actively. See, I think that I'm a bit like that. I need that.
I think that one's a nice one.
Yeah. Actions to take: send an unexpected note, text or card, encourage genuinely and often. And things to avoid are non-constructive criticism, not recognising or appreciating effort. Yeah, I would say I'm that. I'm pretty much everything, to be honest. I think he's got his work cut out.
Is the link for the test as well? Like, is it on like an online test that we could post the link if people want to do it? Yeah, it's just an online test.
There's loads of different ones, to be honest. And there's ones that you can go more in depth into really kind of deep how you love and stuff like that, which actually scared me, and I think it made me Google whether I was a narcissist. Which I'm not. But yeah, that's when I started reading it. This is like last week what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Do not carry on Googling. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, me and Dean have got very separate interests. I can't imagine. I was saying to him tonight, actually, just before I came on, I was like, do you think, like, if I started surfing and started, like, biking with you and stuff, do you think you'd like it? And he was like, I'm all right. I'm all right. I think he'd hate it. I think he would. But we started CrossFit together. So he started CrossFit because he needed a new goal. And And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And then when he came home from CrossFit, he was like, you'd really love it. You need to try it. So I was like, but it's your thing. Like, you're doing it on your own. He was like, I'm fine. So I was like, okay. So we started doing it together, CrossFit. And it was quite nice. It's quite nice, actually. Obviously, we're not there right now, but it's quite nice. I see him in a slightly different light. Like, when I'm there, he's different.
I think you get that when you see somebody kind of outside of your own house. You do see, like, a different side, don't you?
Yeah, we're not big socialisers, so I never kind of see him in awkward social situations. This is the first time I've probably spent time with him with a group of people that he doesn't necessarily know. And I think, and it's just made me really proud of him, to be honest, because he's doing so well at it. He is naturally just good at everything. He's one of those annoying people. And I think I just like to see him getting these, like, little achievements. Yeah, it's really nice. He's not chivalrous at all in the gym. Honestly, like, the other blokes there would help me out before Dean would even think about coming over and helping me into, like, a band for a pull-up or something, which is quite funny. But but it's quite nice.
And do you do on the Saturday, like they did the I only did it like a couple of times, but it was such good fun when they do the team WOD. Like you two would have to be like in the same team or something and see how that would go.
I think we just annoy each other. We tried to do Zoom CrossFit with the CrossFit people, and he nearly knocked me out with a barbell, and I got really sweary and really, like, cross with him. And everyone was hearing it. And he's not, like, used to being on camera. He's not used to, like, social media. He's not used to anything. So he was just like, oh, I'm not doing this again.
Oh, it's so funny.
But so I think me and Dean, I think some things are good. To be honest, when Wilder started nursery, Jessie was at school anyway. Me and Dean had a lot more time together in between me working, and it was nice to kind of say, right, we'll put that hour aside, we'll go to CrossFit, and it made us kind of go for a coffee afterwards or go for breakfast afterwards, and that was really nice. Dean's parents, actually, they started ballroom dancing later in life when the kids were older. When Dean and his brother were older, they started ballroom dancing to spend time together, and they became UK champions.
Wow.
So they, like, went into competition and they competed together. So I can't imagine how that must have been. I mean, they've got a really good relationship now and they're still married, so it must have done them some good. They actually teach it now as well, so it turned, well, not right now, but yeah, so it worked for them. I can't imagine me and Dean teaching ballroom. I think it's kind of like that thing of, when you're with someone, like, Dean does not listen to what I say in terms of training. He would rather listen to a free app than listen to what I think he should be doing. And I think we would just argue too much if we started interfering too much with each of the sports. And we have got differences. Like, he's not into the whole bodybuilding, but, it's maybe good to have differences as well.
No, I think so. And I think, God, like, I'm probably just going to sound like a broken record about everything that we talk about, but balance, isn't it? It's just balancing everything. Yeah. And it's like having, like, a little bit of both. So having those things that you can do together, like the shared interests, which I do think do help you come closer together, and then having your own things as well, so that you then can go away and then come back and have something different to talk about and to discuss.
Yeah, because the worst thing is that if you come home and you've been spending all day together and you've got nothing to talk about, and then, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think in lockdown there's a little bit less to talk about, because we can't do anything really, so we can't go anywhere.
No, and when we're talking about emotional intelligence, I understand. Dean will probably listen to it. Well, not that he probably will listen to this, but he'd probably be like, what are you going on about? You do not understand. But I think I know when I need to step away. I know when he needs to step away and he needs some time. And our sports are very much that time. Like, in fight or flight, I literally go for a run. I am like, if the kids are stressing me out, if I'm stressed with work, if I need to kind of catch it before I get too far gone, because if I'm in a real stinker of a mood, I can't train. Like, I find it really hard to exercise and to focus. But if I catch it before, like, it is such a massive release for me, and it offloads so much for me, just going in the gym or going for a run, so I kind of use it use it like that, really.
Yeah, and that's great, because that's just healthy, isn't it? It's like you've got all this pent up energy and you just need to get kind of rid of it. And how much better do you feel when you come back from a run and you've released all that energy or emotion or whatever it was that has been kind of building up?
Yeah, totally. And I think another thing to mention is that, like, relationships with your friends as well, how your friends can help you through exercise, how your friends can kind of, you know, I think I've met loads of friends through exercise. I've met loads of friends through PT, and I know that they're going to be lifelong friends because we've got that interest together and we do those things together. Like, I've got a friend who did a ridiculous walking challenge, and, you know, we walked the Yorkshire Three Peaks together, and, you know, that time that we had together was so nice and we enjoyed it so much and we had such a good laugh.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, she'll be a lifelong friend because we did these silly challenges together. Or I genuinely think that, yeah. So in terms of those relationships, they will definitely stay. Husband, maybe not. I'm joking.
Yeah, and like I say, it's just both, isn't it? Like, obviously, I play netball, and I talk about it all the time. But
I like that you talk about.
We, you know, we spend so much time together. Like, not now, but in season. You know, when we're training, playing, like, we see each other more than we would see our own families, and we travel all over together. And it's just, I mean, it's so much so, like, we call it our netball family because we're as close to them as we would be to anybody else, really, just because the amount of time that we spend together. And our coaches are always saying to us, like, remember these days, remember these trips, you're going to remember them for the rest of your life. These are the best times of your life. And they are, really.
Yeah, she's been saying that to you since you were how old?
Oh yeah, 13 probably.
I know, but how mad is that it's still like you're still having that amazing time, and I love it. I really do. I think it's amazing. I hope my kids have something like that. I really do. Would you like? Would
definitely.
You kind of advise that? Yeah.
Yeah, because I just think it gives you, you know, social skills, life skills. You know, I mean, when you play a sport, you kind of, you know, I still think of myself like almost as a shy person, really, because I was very shy when I was younger, and I'm not always comfortable in social situations. But I think when you play sport, you get used to meeting that many new and different people and interacting with people who you wouldn't normally meet on an everyday basis. Like, your friendship circle just ends up being huge through that sport. And like I say, they're not people who you might have been friends with if you were at school with them, or so yeah, I just think it develops you so much. And even if you don't play, I don't think even the level matters that you play. It's just being involved in that community and learning how to work together as part of a team, and you know, maybe leading a team and having that self-discipline when it comes to training as well. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, like I said, I was a good kid, but the only way my mum and dad could ever kind of punish me was to not let me go to training. Like, that was my punishment. I hated it. So if I'd ever done anything like a little bit naughty, right, you're not going to training this week. Like, oh, please. No, that was my punishment.
I think as well, like, in terms of developing your emotional intelligence, something like that, from a young age, it's teaching you to win and lose. It's teaching you to kind of, like, to grow that kind of thick skin when it comes to how you deal with situations, doesn't it? Which is something that I know, if you don't have that, obviously it's harder to deal with things as you get older, emotionally.
Absolutely. So, you know, things like dealing with, like you say, like dealing with failure, dealing with injuries, like how do you, you know, your mindset, how do you get through something like that? And no, I definitely recommend it. 100%.
Aww. So have we got anything else to say on emotional intelligence? Do you think you've got a good level of emotional intelligence, Vic?
I think so. It's hard, isn't it, to try and like gauge yourself.
You basically don't want to say yes I do in case kids listening to this.
I know, Well, I think he's getting into these podcasts now, you know, because he listened to that one last week. So good. He probably will.
Did he like it?
Yeah, and he told me I hadn't quoted him for some of the things that I'd said that apparently he'd said. So he'll probably be listening to this one as well. But and I think and again, I think it ties in with our last podcast, because something like emotional intelligence is something that you are developing all the time.
Yeah.
So, and it's just that constant looking at yourself and how you react to things and how you deal with things, and just trying to make yourself better. And I think when we were talking about those 5, what were they called, love personalities or whatever it was, like the
5 languages of love.
Yeah, that's it. And the idea with that is that you can, when you have like a certain level of emotional intelligence, you don't take everything personally, because I think you can understand people a little bit more, and you can think, oh, that's probably why they've reacted to that there, or that's why they've reacted, and it's not about me. It's kind of about them and their reaction. And I think to have, like I say, as you develop emotional intelligence, I mean, it's something that we're learning all the time, isn't it?
Definitely, because I think that I probably clock on to other people better than I do Dean.
Yeah.
And I'm married to him, like it's still...
It's like hard to see that one that's right in front of your face, though, isn't it? Easier to see it in other people.
Things that I don't see about myself when it comes to our relationship as well.
We all do that.
Just like, I'm not like that. What are you talking about?
Well, I think we all think we're more perfect than we are, don't we?
Yeah, totally. But I do definitely think 100% that if I started surfing and he had to share the surf with me and he had to share the nice weather biking with me, he would not like it. So I'm just going to stay well aware. I've already like intruded on his CrossFit. I am not going to get, and even like when I'm texting in the CrossFit group, he's like, you've got to say something, haven't you? You've got to put something. It's just me, I'm sorry. So yeah, I think it can work, and I think definitely if you're looking for that level of support, sometimes if you kind of need your hand held a bit, it's really good to have someone there. Like some people take the friends to a class, or some people take the partners, and I think if that is a really good way that you're going to progress your fitness, then you should definitely train together.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. And actually, I have to mention this because I was thinking, what am I going to say on this? Obviously, Kate's done some CrossFit, but he hasn't they were just deciding at the end, was I going to, him and his mate, am I going to sign up as a member or not?
And then one CrossFit that we went to with Kate, I remember you just going to Kate, because I was there as well, because we've got the same gym, and you were going, Kate, get faster, come on, Kate.
I was giving him a hard time. We were against the clock. I had to keep reminding him it was a competition. To be fair, I think if he comes back and joins, like when we rejoin, I think he'll probably be the one saying to me, "Come on, faster, quicker."
Yeah. Oh, he'll definitely. Do you know what? Dean just does that everywhere. Yeah. Dean's like that. And Dean just tries something for 10 minutes and he's brilliant at it.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Very.
So I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? And then I think subconsciously, something we talked about last week, I must have had this in my mind, because I said to him last night, right, when I finish my class, shall we go for a run together? Which we've probably done once in our lives. Yeah. We don't run together. I like to run by myself, just because it's your own pace and you're comfortable, and I'm not a great runner. I don't do a lot of running, so I just like to work at my own pace. So anyway, we went for
a good runner back then.
Oh no! So we went for a 4-mile run last night together, and it was really nice.
And how long did it take you, Vic? Like 20 minutes?
Oh well, shall I let you in on a little secret? No, it was longer than that. How funny is this, right? So I probably shouldn't even say this, but when we were 3 miles in, he said, because I didn't finish work till 8:45, so it was quite late when we went, and it was raining, but it was nice, and it was all like through the woods and up and down hills and things.
It's nice weather to run in when it's like a little bit
was,
spitty.
And it smelled really fresh, but we didn't have anything for our tea. So 3 miles in, he said, shall I phone a Chinese for us and we'll pick it up on our way home? So we actually ran to the Chinese to pick it up, take it home for our tea.
And that right there is motivation.
Isn't it? So there you go.
Oh, well done. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah,
did you enjoy your run together?
Yeah, it was lovely.
Because you were probably spending the whole time deciding what you were going to eat.
Oh, yeah. The run was lovely, and the vegetable chow mein was even nicer. So.
Oh, lovely. Oh, how nice. Yeah, I think it can work. I definitely think it can work.
Yeah.
I just don't think me and Dean would be one of these people that work. But it has been interesting to look at the languages of love and to look at how maybe if we are having a patch where we're doing each other's heads in, and I've noticed that I've particularly not spent much time with him, and he's noticed that he's not done anything for me, then we can address those situations now that we know that those are our languages of love.
Exactly. We've developed our emotional intelligence through it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's worth doing. If you want to look at the quizzes, we'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put the link on.
Okay, shall we go into Quash the BS?
Yes.
Okay, so the BS this week is, should you say sod it and have whatever you want if you fall off the diet wagon? So most of us go on diets quite a lot, and one of the main things that we all do, well, it's not a main thing that we do, but what we all do at some point is have something, think, sod it, that wasn't on my diet plan, or that's not right for what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm just going to go mental and eat everything and anything in sight and get the mouldy Rivitas from out the back of the fridge and put horrible out of the cupboard and put horrible peanut butter on it that's been in their fridge. It's like, we all do it. Well, I'm saying this. Maybe our listeners are going, no, don't do that. So should you do it? Should you just think sod it and sack it off and think this diet hasn't worked? First of all, you shouldn't be looking as if you're on a diet, because you should be eating a healthy, balanced diet. You should not be... It's hard to say because we all want to eat better, we all want to do better, and we all go through stages of our lives where we're like, I'm going to be on it. But the way that I work with my clients is that we change for long term, so we change your overall diet rather than kind of going on a diet which is cut out this, cut out that, because to me there's no bad foods and no good foods. I've done it before when I have been on a strict diet when I was competing. If I did go off it, I just had to go to bed, wake up the next morning and carry on like nothing ever happened. Because what happens is, if you start punishing yourself for that by exercising more, then you can get into this binge starve cycle and you end up overtraining, wearing yourself out, you're not eating enough, and then what happens is a couple of days later, when you've caught up and you've absolutely hammered yourself for doing that, then you possibly fall off again and you're in this vicious cycle. So wake up the next morning and forget about it, move on. But also, a good point is to say is that just because you don't have oats for breakfast, which is what you've been having for a week, and you choose to have, I don't know, what would you have that's bad for breakfast? A muffin, a blueberry muffin for breakfast from Starbucks because you were travelling down the motorway and you found Starbucks that was open and that's your treat and you had that, you then don't need to think, oh my God, I've had a muffin, that's really unhealthy, I'm just going to eat everything now, because that's fine. You had a muffin, enjoy it, move on, enjoy your dinner. Like, just take those calories into account that you've maybe had a more calorific, less healthier option for breakfast, so make it healthier during the day.
Yeah.
That is what I think. What do you think, Beck?
Yeah, agree. And I think it just, you need to accept your... Hang on, let me try and explain this a little bit better. I think you need to just be a little bit aware of yourself and maybe like catch yourself as you're about to eat something, be it a blueberry muffin, whatever, and you need to... Oh God, I'm not really doing a terrible example of explaining this. This like kind of comes from like a personal thing for me, so I think it comes from the inner conflict that you get when you eat something that maybe you think you shouldn't have. So you've fallen off the wagon and you feel bad about it and you beat yourself up. But I think if you can just accept, like at the point where you're eating it or you're about to eat it, like kind of come to terms with yourself. Like, all right, I'm going to eat this. It's bad for me. It's not necessarily good for me, but I'm going to do it. And when you decide to do it, you accept that decision, and therefore you shouldn't be beating yourself up about it. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. But just to say that obviously we're not saying it's bad for you. We believe that all foods, you should be inclusive, not exclusive towards your foods, because your foods, you should enjoy your food and you should eat what you want. That's your head telling you that food is bad. And it's from years of diet culture, it's from years of false advice, false marketing, and what we've been hammered with
all our lives. And it's hard to then get out of and hard to not think that these things aren't good. Another point to make is try and understand why say you proper binged, say you were like, right, I've had my McDonald's for breakfast, I'm going to have Chinese, sorry Vic, I'm going to have Chinese for lunch, and then I'm going to go to the cinemas and I'm going to get a massive pick and mix, Ben & Jerry's, I'm going to have it all. And like, if you did that, then you've got to look at your diet and think, what was I missing? What has caused me to get to this point? And it's quite possibly the fact that you are on a air quotes diet and you've restricted yourself so much that your body's just like craving these foods that you've said that you're not going to eat. So you've gone straight to that. And I'm telling you now, those calories that you consume in that one day will outright all of the hard work that you've put in all that week. Don't get me wrong, a couple of 100 calories over won't. But if you do that, if you get into that binge starve cycle, you will never progress with working towards achieving your goal, because it's just not, you're going to go in calorie surplus and potentially like become quite unhealthy with it. So try and understand why. There's ways around everything. Like, sometimes every week I reassess my calories. So every week I say, right, this week I've noticed that every day I eat a little bit more, so I'm going to have higher calories next week. Or if I've got something going on at a weekend, before Corona, then I'll have slightly lower calories during the week to allow for a heavier weekend, if you like. So there's ways around it to trick your brain into thinking that you're doing it all right, and to allow yourself to do that. Another thing to say is that maybe you're not in the right place to be on this diet that you need to be, and you need to own that. You need to kind of be like, this is what I can achieve right now, especially in times like this where, like, I've got girls competing, so they're on diets. But right now, I'd be maybe like, look, do the best that you can. Don't stress about it. You're in a situation where you can't get your steps up, you can't get the exercise in that you want because your kids are at home or whatever. Right now, just do the best that you can and own where you're at rather than where you want to be. But you always have to remember that once you've owned that and you're saying, right, I'm just gonna be where I am for now, and then after this, when the kids are back at school, when I'm back at work and when I've got a normal routine, then I will go and start achieving my goals. But if you own that, you then can't be annoyed at yourself for not progressing because you're not going to get miracles. So back off yourself. Maybe don't assess your progress every week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's probably, you said it much more concisely than I did, but it's about it is about owning it, because like you say, once you own it, own that decision, own that cake, whatever it is that you've eaten that you think you maybe shouldn't have, then like you say, why would you beat yourself up because you've owned it? It's probably I also really like your idea about compartmentalizing like the meals. So you've got your breakfast, your lunch and your tea, and not kind of letting them all blend into the full day. So if you go mad at one meal, that's just that one meal. Shut it off, move on to the next one. Like, the next one doesn't have to be the same. It can...
No, and the worst thing is that if you go on and you're like, right, I'm going to have like something really boring for tea because I've had this mega thing, so I'm going to have a bowl of half a tin of Heinz soup or something, you're not going to enjoy that. You'll probably then like get in your head, that was rubbish, I'm going to eat something else because I've did this. Just like try and stop it off. Like you said, what did you say?
Compartmentalise.
And kind of stop it there, really, if you can. It's hard. I mean, it's really hard to do so. I think it's really hard. The main thing is that you've got to be realistic and you've got to try and identify why it's happening, but try not to say sod it. One of the things that I learned years ago was that guilt is not the appropriate emotion to feel or to have after having a piece of chocolate cake. And it's so true. You should not have a piece of chocolate cake. It is not normal to then be like, oh my God, what have I done? This is awful. It's not awful, it's bloody gorgeous and you should enjoy it. Like, it's not if you've made that decision to have it, enjoy it. Obviously, we're not saying that chocolate cake is bad in any way. It's amazing. So,
chocolate cake is amazing.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Enjoy it, move on.
Yes. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Okay, so wishful sponsor. Do you have one, Vic?
No, I haven't picked one for this week.
Okay, I've got one. Well, I've got a few. Okay, so because I don't know, maybe, I mean, I think in lockdown I've actually done quite reasonably well to stay at a level of fitness and to even maybe progress certain things in my fitness because I've had the time when Dean's been off. But it has been easy to say, let's just write off lockdown, let's just like get through it with gin. And so for those times I have been eating a bit too much probably for me, and to be to keep my body where I'm happy with it. So I'm trying to look at other ways to make myself feel better, and one of the things is exfoliating. For competing, because your tan is like obviously mahogany, you've got to really exfoliate your skin before a competition so you don't get patchy tan and you don't get, and I always forget how amazing it makes me feel because it just makes you feel so clean.
I
and
love
like
exfoliator.
so fresh. Yeah, and I normally exfoliate every day, but not to this extent. I've got this like really powerful exfoliate me. It's like hair. So I've been exfoliating every day to just try and make myself feel a bit better. And honestly, it's worked. Like I feel so much better about my body, even though it hasn't changed. But it's just made me feel happier about it. So
nice.
Yes, an exfoliating mitt from Boots.
Ooh, lovely.
And also my wishful sponsor would be Amazon Prime subscribe and save. Do you do it?
No. So every time it's popped up when I've been trying to buy something, I save like 50p and I always just click down to the next one that says, no, just buy one. So what is it?
It's brilliant. So basically it started off when lockdown came in and I didn't want to go to the shops. So I subscribed and saved for Haribo, Starburst, like all the kids' sweets. So every month we get a delivery of sweets for the kids, and that kind of ties us over.
Yeah.
So I'm never like stuck, and they're all in that wardrobe right there, like where the kids, well, the kids do know they're there, but they forget. But anyway, I've decided, because I'm trying to make myself feel a bit better, I've decided to start taking some vitamins and stuff, and I know that I suffer massively with my joints if I've been drinking too much. I think the acid in alcohol really doesn't agree with me. And I know we've talked before about certain supplements, haven't we?
Yeah, the cherry active stuff that I take.
Yeah, so I started taking that. I've started taking some for my hormones, which my mother-in-law suggested you need to be really careful with. So I'm not going to recommend it, but yeah. And I've started taking a few other supplements that I'm definitely missing in my diet, like my omega fatty acids, because I don't eat enough oily fish. Like I know that I lack on certain areas. It's important to say that you don't need to have loads of vitamins and minerals in tablet form if you get everything from food, but I feel like I'm definitely missing a few things. So with my knees, my joints really ache when I've been drinking a lot, and I think a lot of it's down to dehydration, but I think a lot of it is also down to the acidity in my body is a bit high, and you need to kind of like alkaline it down. I understand. I've been reading a bit into it, and so things like pomegranates, grapefruits, fruits like that really help. And do you know what? It really does. Like it's helped me massively. But when I do my Asda shop, for some reason they never send me 9 grapefruits, what I order. They just send me oranges instead. So I decided to try the cherry active that you've got.
Yeah.
I've been taking that, and I've been taking a few other things. But the good thing about Amazon Subscribe and Save is I know that those tablets are going to last me a month, and then I can subscribe and save, and then they will definitely come the next month. Or if the tablet's going to last me 2 months, I'll put it under 2 months, and then they'll arrive at my door. So it's almost like I can't not take them now because I'm getting them delivered and they will be there. And I'm not going to run out of them. So it's really good. It's really good. It's so easy because you're just getting these things that you need and you don't even have to repurchase.
I might look at it a bit more then next time it pops up on my Amazon purchase.
Honestly, you'd be surprised because there is... particularly for in the gym, cleaning products like the Dettol spray that, you know, it kind of cleans the air and everything. You can't really get it anywhere. So I've subscribed and saved on that, so I know that the studio's always got Dettol spray and stuff.
I will have a look.
So it is brilliant, and I would love them to sponsor me so I could get so much more stuff. So should we go on to the finale?
Yes.
So normally we do a happy grand finale, but today we're not discussing our normal happy finale, but a subject that we must address. The death of George Floyd has devastated the world. We shouldn't have to say this because it should be a given, but Black Lives Matter. I hate to believe that there is still racism today, but there is, and I feel disgusted and hate to believe that there is white privilege, but there is. It's a difficult conversation, but seeing and admitting what's happening, the truth, the reality, talking about the truth and the reality is not accepting what is happening, but helping fight against it.
Yeah, so I read something that said, you know, don't be silent because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. And I actually posted it on my social media because, you know, I wasn't sure what to say or how to say, like I say, for being afraid of saying the wrong thing. And then the more I read about it and thought that really there is no wrong thing that you can say. You're either racist or you're anti-racist. And we're having this conversation now because of the death of George Floyd and because it's currently in the media, but I think the point of highlighting it with the Black Lives Matter is that, you know, what is going to happen when these riots stop and or something else it becomes like head of the news in the mainstream news and we stop hearing about it. You know, that racism is still there and it's still going on and it hasn't just gone away because it's not being publicised in the news. Yeah. And the more kind of I read about that, I know you're on the same page as well, is, you know, what can we do to help and what can we do to try and change it? Yeah, well,
I mean, as you can tell, that was quite scripted what I said because, like you say, you're scared of kind of saying the wrong thing or offending anyone. But Meghan Markle said, didn't she, that not saying anything is worse than saying possibly the wrong thing. And there was something that I saw, that was a post that I saw, and of all the posts, of all the research that I've been doing, because it's been a long week, hasn't it, in terms of kind of getting your head around it all and trying to understand why this is happening. And one of the posts that stood out and was just clear to the point, and it says, if you're not sure how to respond, listen. If you're not sure what to read, research. If you're not sure what to do, donate. Not sure becomes not my problem. It's not enough to be not sure when racism is still taking lives. And that just sums it up for me. And I think, you know, research, educate yourself, protest, donate, sign petitions, and shut it down around you and have these conversations, these difficult conversations with family members and discuss it, you know.
Yeah, and obviously, like, not just today, but always. So, you know, hopefully this has started something now that is going to remain with people, and people aren't just going to forget about it once it goes out of the news, and they're going to keep fighting for justice. And
it's sad times really when it's like 2020 and this is going on. It's not good. Anyway, I know, how do you move on from that, right? So we'll move on and let you know what we're doing next week on next week's show. So next week we will be talking you through what we do with a new client, so how we plan for our client's success. So you might want to bring a pen and paper because we're going to give you some information and insight into some of the processes that we use, which can help you effectively without having to come and see us because we're doing it on a podcast. I'm really looking forward to it because it's one thing that I think is a lot of people don't understand what most people, like, every personal trainer is different, every Pilates studio is different, and it's how you deal with it, how you deal with clients, how you take a client and help them. a lot of people are scared to ask because they think that you're going to start saying, well, sign up to this and this.
Yeah.
And whereas in actual fact, it's nice to just have that conversation and be like, this is how I would help you. You know, like you don't have to do that, but this is the information that you could take. And it's always quite helpful to have that conversation, I think. So yeah, that's what we're going to do next week, isn't it, Rick?
It is. Looking forward to it.
Me too. So what are you having for your tea next week? Next
week? I don't know what I'm having next week.
Go on, next week. I'm having HelloFresh all week next week.
Well, I've got one more HelloFresh in the fridge, which is a vegetable baked risotto. So I think I'm going to make that.
So you're having that tonight?
Yeah, having that tonight, yeah. Not next week.
Oh, that sounds nice. We are having like pork loins. I've talked about them before. My butcher does them pork loins with chorizo in and like peppers and onions. They're really nice.
Ooh,
with salad. And then I've got myself some new granola.
Ooh,
I love granola.
I love granola.
So yeah, it's so good, isn't it? So I'm going to have that with Greek yogurt.
It's too breakfasty for me though. I can only have it in the morning.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could literally eat the whole box. I really could. And I try and get the one that Dean can't have nuts, so I never really buy my own because I get too freaked out that he's going to eat it. And anyway, so I normally just have some of Dean's, and then I feel guilty that I'm eating Dean's granola when I've got loads of other stuff for breakfast. But no, I've bought my own, so I'm going to have some granola and yogurt for afterwards.
Cool. So moving on to our thank you. So thanks again to Kate for editing the podcast and the YouTube show. And actually, we probably should remind you all now that this show is also, obviously, you might be listening on the podcast, but it's also on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, TS12 Fitness and Wellbeing Explored. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Got it right, yes.
This is like week 5 and we're still getting our heads around it, aren't we, that we're actually doing a podcast. So, thank you, Kate.
Yep, thank you. And thanks so much to everybody for listening. We're so proud of our little prod, and we and we can't thank you enough for supporting us.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a special request this week, like we said earlier. For next week, we would like... we might be doing another special like we did last week, and that might be coming up soon, so email your ideas of what you want us to talk about to ts12pod@gmail.com. But also, it's much easier to talk about setting up a client, how we would help a client if we know what that client would be. So you can anonymously send... Obviously, we will know who you are, but we won't announce it on air. And if you want to send us your scenario of what you would expect from a personal trainer or a Pilates and yoga instructor or studio, and how we would help you, if you want to give us your scenario, your goals, and we can use that as an example, and then that'd be great. Obviously, we'll keep you completely anonymous. So yeah, if you do it, you know, you're going to find out more about yourself, really. So it'll be beneficial to do. So just email ts12pod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, guys, after a tough week. We hope we've lightened the mood a bit with our relationship talk. And we hope to see you, we hope that you hear us again next week and you give us another chance.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Smashed it.
That was good, wasn't it?